This module of the Promoting Safe Interactions with Youth training series will focus on safe communication. This module will explore the use of positive reinforcement and constructive corrections as strategies for safe communication with youth. We will review safe and professional online communication within your program. Finally, we will provide examples of unsafe communication. Using safe communication strategies with youth provides an opportunity to help youth learn from a situation rather than just shutting down an inappropriate behavior. As employees and volunteers working with youth, it is our responsibility to model appropriate language and respectful behavior. This means communicating a positive and constructive message through your words and actions, and not using any harmful language or unsafe methods of communication. Using safe communication emphasizes your professional role and sets and models healthy boundaries.
I want to remind students that I'm working with them in a professional capacity, and I have both a professional email and phone. I work typically Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and so while they may need to contact me outside of there, to not necessarily expect me to respond.
At the very beginning of our programs, we always set a very clear boundary in terms of verbal, physical, and emotional communications.
Positive reinforcement is a strategy that identifies and encourages appropriate behaviors and actions. When using positive reinforcement as a communication strategy, it is helpful to be specific and direct in commenting on the youth's actions or behaviors.
So during our staff trainings, we ask our teachers to use positive reinforcement whenever they're talking to the students.
One thing that we really work on as facilitators at Radioactive is encouraging youth through non-evaluative language. So that means instead of saying, that's great or awesome, I really want to be thinking about specific encouragement.
Give them compliments based on what they're doing. So saying, I can see you're working really hard and I appreciate that. Or I noticed that you were really helping someone else out and I just want to let you know that I appreciated that you did that.
If all you're saying is, nice job, young people are usually able to tell that that just doesn't really mean anything. It's kind of empty. It's more like praise than encouragement.
There are times when the behaviors and actions of a participant will require corrective action. Safe communication includes corrective comments that are constructive and explain the behavior you would like to see. For example, if a youth is constantly interrupting a group discussion, you can use a phrase such as, "If you have something to say, please raise your hand." Avoid using labels that are personality-based, which focus on the person rather than their specific behavior. In the example of the interrupting youth, you might be tempted to label them as rude, but doing so is more likely to induce shame than to change their behavior. Instead, focus on the interruption, which is the behavior you want them to correct. Remind youth of appropriate behavior by referring them to their participant code of conduct. By doing this, you can emphasize that your corrections aren't personal and bring the conversation back to the expectations for all in the program.
At the beginning of our program, youth create a group agreement together. It's sort of a contract that dictates how we're going to act towards each other in that space. And whenever somebody is acting or saying something that goes against our group agreements, the way we usually handle it in terms of speaking to the young people is to refer back to those group agreements. In our program, it is really important for staff and for mentors in particular to have frequent communication with youth, and it's important for us to meet them where they're at, and for most young people, that's through their phones.
Not all communication with youth happens face-to-face. You may be in an environment where texting, email, and social media are used with your program participants. Unfortunately, private, unmonitored communication can allow perpetrators of abuse to take advantage of youth. If online communication is allowed in your program, it should be strictly limited to topics sanctioned by your program and should not occur outside of program activities. Programs can set up official program accounts or apps that can be monitored. You should always avoid texting and any other one-on-one communication with youth.
Staying on that uw.edu profile keeps it kind of a little bit more secure. We actually use a separate text service that we communicate with our students.
It's just really important to have a policy in place and then refer to it. So you know exactly how you're going to respond if someone asks to friend you on Facebook, and you just say, you know, it's our policy that we don't interact with youth on social media platforms like that.
Unsafe communication is prohibited in UW youth programs. Examples of unsafe communication include yelling in a threatening or aggressive manner, making fun of a person based on their race, national origin, gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, ability, or other identities, making derogatory comments about a person or group of people, threatening severe or harsh punishment as a consequence, and using intimidation as a discipline strategy. Communication that has a sexual tone is also prohibited, such as making sexual jokes in front of a youth, sharing information about your own sexual activity, or asking a youth about their sexual activity, and commenting on bodies, looks, or clothing. Keep in mind that romantic relationships with youth while in your role at UW are prohibited and, in some cases, also illegal. By using positive reinforcement and constructive corrections, safe and professional online communication techniques, and avoiding unsafe communication, you can promote safe communication in your youth program.